Okay, so this is the second part to my chat about the Donald Trump inauguration chart, and I'm thinking about how the end times is being seeded in, and how people like Russell Brand, also Jordan Peterson, also to an extent Ben Shapiro, who's encouraging people to get back to church. Why? Because that's where they'll be hearing all about this eschatology, and the Catholics talk about it, the Protestants, well, happy clappies, we used to call them, I don't know what they call them, evangelicals, they all talk about this end time. So they need right now to be people thinking of that. Now, I don't believe these are prophecies. I think it's more of trust the plan. It's a Q thing, Operation Trust in Russia. They let you make you think that this is happening, so you'll become defeatist, have a sense of inevitability, and therefore they can escalate events without people saying, stop, this is ridiculous, because everyone thinks, well, this is actually proves that all these prophecies were true because they're playing out, but they're not really playing out. They're part of a plan that was seeded long ago, and the plan is just coming to fulfillment, but they can pacify people by using this whole thing about it being about prophecy. Now, one more thing. Today, Nick Clegg is out at Facebook, and he's been replaced by one of Donald Trump's Republican allies. So Nick Clegg is ousted at Facebook. You see the move now? We're going away from woke. Woke is dead. Woke is served its purpose, and now it's been moved aside. So we have one of Nick Clegg, who was a big advocate of all the kind of leftist woke, what people would perceive as leftist woke stuff at Facebook, being moved aside for a guy called Kaplan, who was the White House Deputy Chief of Staff under George W. Bush, neocon, hence the whole neocon war agenda, and who's reportedly been voicing internal opposition to Meta's restrictions on political speech. So just like Twitter, now owned by Musk, we now have Facebook, which is also going to become a lot more amenable, so-called, to people in the right wing. So what is so-called right wing? Also quite interesting is one of the most influential people in the world is Ronald Lauder. Now, you don't often hear about him, of Estee Lauder, you know, guys from the makeup. Now, he is the guy who's pitched the idea to Trump to buy Greenland from Denmark. This was in 2019. And he proposed to be the intermediary in this transaction. And his involvement was first reported in a 2022 book, The Divider, by Peter Baker. And he's a long-time contributor to the Republican Party, this guy Lauder. I just find it really interesting. What significance is Greenland going to pay in this whole thing? And why is this guy talking Trump? He's obviously a billionaire, right? He's very, very influential. He was just meeting the Pope the other day. Why, or the other week, should I say, why is he encouraging, him to take this particular route? Now, I did have something, and unfortunately, it's not on this phone. Now, the other thing, which is quite interesting in prophecy, and unfortunately, I haven't got the link right now to regurgitate it to you, but after Jesus was killed, his clothing was torn apart, and it was either sold or given away. When Trump was acquitted of you remember he was going through the trial thing, and he was being accused of all these things in a courtroom in New York. When he was acquitted, he took the suit that he was wearing at the trial. It was cut into pieces and they were auctioned off. Do you see how, again, they're seeding these biblical similarities into current time, just to get people talking, to get conspiracy theories talking, and to get these seeds out there? Right. Now, like I said, people's anger is also being co-opted. Big development today is Elon Musk tweeting in favor of Tommy Robinson and highlighting the grooming gangs. Now, this links to my predictions for the UK. Why is Elon Musk highlighting the grooming gangs? Because he knows that Keir Starmer was head of public prosecutions during that phase, and there's a direct link between building up pressure against Starmer, which Musk has appeared to be doing, and grooming gangs. So he's bringing those two together. There's also a link between the buildup of anger against particularly the Muslim community rather than any other issues in order to co-opt people's anger against Muslims. Therefore, it would make it easier for people to be amenable to war in Iran. Do you see how this all works together, how Musk is a part of this, and how Donald Trump could be they could be doing all this to lay the way to make it easier for further conflicts in that particular area, which I believe would be to bring on this war of Gog and Magog, which is also prophesied. Gog and Magog representing Russia and China. Iran is just a tool to, make it easier to attack Russia kind of thing, along with Ukraine. Let's not get into that right now. It gets kind of complicated. I will get back to it. But do you see how all these pieces, chess pieces, are being moved into place, and Elon Musk is pivotal in them? He's using Twitter to steer public opinion, to put things out there, and to affect political change by helping build up anger for certain political figures like Starmer, which is why I believe Starmer will be gone either in January or end of the year, because you can see, obviously, he's not popular for many political reasons, but we also have Musk, the funding of reform, and the rehabilitation of reform, even the mainstream media playing into this, and even people like Beth Rigby of Sky News giving Starmer a hard time. So it all plays in. So is Trump being set up as some sort of false messiah in order to eventually have the blame all placed on him, or to be made the scapegoat when this all goes wrong? We don't know. Apparently, there is talk that in numerology, particularly kind of Kabbalistic numerology, his name translates into the Messiah or something, and he might be here to usher in the messianic, whatever the name is, age. So you can see again all this end-life prophecy playing through. Now, woke is being replaced because when they want to go to war, it's no longer an ideology that they want to be have people focusing on. So that's why they changed people's focus and shift of attention, allowing more free speech. Now, the free speech on Twitter is also a trap to lure people in, like January 6th, because when you've got lots of people on various free speech platforms like Telegram and Gab and Parler and whatever there was, you can't monitor them as closely. But if you're bringing them to Twitter, encourage them to give their name, date of birth, get blue check marks. Far easier to have them in one place and collect data on anyone who may be saying things contra narrative, right? Now, I just wanted to end by saying, they've run out of ideas how to boost the economy. We had the Industrial Revolution, which created the middle class, a huge boom. We had colonialism, which found new markets, created resources, also created wealth for the super wealthy. We had the wars, after which things had to be rebuilt. We had Nixon and taking them off the gold standard, America off the gold standard, which allowed debt to explode and the money creation to explode. We also had, I was going to say quite a few things. Yes, manufacturing got cheaper and cheaper because they took all the manufacturing, they sent it off to China, to Vietnam, to all these Singapore, all these places, so they could get things made super quick, increase profits by decreasing costs. But as those countries get wealthy and wealthy and the standards come up, you no longer can get things made at such a cheaper rate. It becomes more and more difficult to find countries with poor people to exploit to get your things made cheap, right? So that kind of runs out of steam. Then we had Maggie and Reagan with their kind of Reaganomics, and there was the whole deregulation of the city thing to create a boom. Then there was the tech boom. So they've always had a way to kind of stimulate the economy. But after COVID and after the 2008 crash, things are going off the rails. It's getting more and more difficult to create value in increasingly difficult environments. So what they are now doing is importing masses of people to work cheaper, and hence they cannot survive without the mass immigration. The mass immigration is their way. It's the new economy, right? Is mass immigration. Because people come in, it inflates property prices, and that's great for everyone involved in property. You've also created a whole level of industry around refugees coming in. So that's a growth industry. Refugees have to be housed, processed, fed, clothed. Houses have to be built. So the construction industry gets a boom. Plus, like I say, mass immigration brings in more people, wages get lower, and therefore profits can be raised. So you can see mass immigration is the new way to create an economic boom in ailing, aging economies where ideas have kind of run dry and run out. And that's why it won't be stopped under Donald Trump, reform, or anyone else, because it is the new economy. So the inauguration chart looks explosive. It looks like we're going to see dramatic change that will transform America and the world. Definitely looks like war and conflict, or one of the things that are going to be in the agenda. And it definitely looks like social media are ushering in a different attitude within people and changing the culture and the narrative in order to accommodate all these new goals.